Welcome back to Great Day, my friends. Let me ask you a serious question. Does your child suffer from ADHD or ADD? Have you ever heard anything about neurofeedback? Because as it turns out, the American Academy of Pediatrics gave neurofeedback their top rating for the treatment of the behavioral symptoms of ADHD. Dr. Jason Rhodes from the St. Louis Neurotherapy Institute is here to show us how neurofeedback works. Welcome back to the studio. It's been a bit.
Thanks. It's been a little while.
It has been a little while, so it's very nice to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Was good. So explain what neurofeedback is for people that aren't familiar.
So neurofeedback is a way to retrain how the brain actually functions. And in ADHD, typically what we'll see is an underactivation of the frontal lobes, this part that lives right up here. And that deals with, focusing, paying attention, sequencing of events, impulse control, all those things that we see ADHD kids have problems with. So the very first step is that we run something called a brain map, which we can actually look at how the brain functions. And then from there, we can actually do neurofeedback therapy and correct many of those issues without medications.
So we'll get into what the neurofeedback therapy is physically like
Sure.
what that sensation is, what it looks like in a moment. But you talked about sort of mapping the brain.
Right.
And the technology is amazing. We can really see these areas of the brain that may be overstimulated or understimulated.
Exactly.
Right?
And one of the problems with ADHD is he 5, or is she just being 7 and a kid, or is this actually an issue? And so the way that we traditionally do that is through something called a Connors and Vanderbilt as a questionnaire, but that leaves us sometimes with an inconclusive answer. So when we do something called a brain map, as you can see here with the young boy, that we're mapping the brain. We're looking at the electrical activity to understand how the brain's functioning. Just like you look at EEG, like with the heart, we're looking at, we're looking at EEG with the brain, and we can actually tell if the brain is actually underactivated, overactivated, and how it's actually functioning. So we can really get a diagnostic of ADHD, or maybe it's a learning disability, or maybe it's anxiety. Like we can actually tell what's going on.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So then how does the neurofeedback therapy work? Like it almost feels to me like you're treating the brain like a muscle, and if you can get it to sort of exercise the appropriate parts in a certain way, that strength can be retained.
So it's actually something called operant conditioning, which is a little bit of a long word there, but really what we're doing is we're retraining the brain. So what happens is, as you saw there, we place a sensor on the area that's correlated with that dysfunction, and then they're watching a movie and they're being rewarded when their brain activates appropriately. And this is something like, if you remember Ring the Bell, Pavlov's dog.
Sure, yeah.
In school? Okay, so this is somewhat kind of the same thing, in that we do this over and over again, and over the course of about 25 hours, broken up in half-hour training sessions, the brain actually changes itself, just like it does with a muscle that you go to the gym.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Also worth noting, because the world is a strange and tenuous place right now, this does not necessarily, the way you guys got it set up, this does not necessarily require a lot of time in the clinic, right?
Matt, we've been seeing clients for 10 years. And when the pandemic came on, we had already started seeing clients from out of state. And so we just really transitioned to where we do the testing in office, and then we give you the equipment to be able to train at home. So it's very convenient that way. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So testing and a consultation in the office initially, and then you can do this at home on your own.
Exactly.
It's amazing. It's amazing what we can do. Dr. Rhodes, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. So set up a free consultation at St. Louis Neurotherapy Institute right now by calling 1-855-STL-ADHD. Okay? For more information, you can call 314-983-9355 or go online. Check out their website for a lot more detail. STLADHD.com is the website. Taylor?
Very interesting. Thank you, guys.